Good evening and welcome on in to KHOU 11 Plus. I'm Cheryl Mercedes and I'm joined here by two officials who will help us better understand the questions that some of you have on voting. Some of the questions have been simple that we've been getting here. We thank you all so much for sending us your questions. Some have been simple, some have been complicated, and that's why these two ladies are here with me tonight to answer those questions and hopefully give you more resources before you head into the polls. So thank you so much for joining us here on KHOU 11 Plus. First, we have Diana Issa. She is the state director. And then also we have Irene Nunez with the clerk's office. First, Diana, tell us a little bit about your role and what the state director does in terms of elections.
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you for having us. At Mi Familia en Acción, as the Texas State Director, right now during this election cycle, what we are mostly focusing on is making sure that we educate, that we mobilize the Latino community to make sure that we get into really building that Latino political power, right? That we see the representation that we want. And a lot of that starts with simple education, hence why we're here, right? Making sure we're informing the community and then going actually and then mobilizing. And so that includes text banks, phone banks, canvassing, where you may or may not see us at the door, but if so, open it because we have a lot of great information to give you to make sure that you do the civic duty of going out and vote.
So it's been a busy season for you already. You all have started early, I'm sure, because election time is here.
A lot, very busy and doing voter registration as well. But yes, keeping busy during this very busy time.
All right, busy time for you as well, Irene.
Yes, for sure. So at the clerk's office, I am the director of communications, and we are responsible for managing elections in the third largest county in the nation. So everything from early voting, voting by mail, and election day, being able to inform voters, provide them the information, materials, and assistance that they need at being able to access the voting process. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, and a huge election here, on the heels of a huge election. So thank you both for joining us. We did ask viewers to send in some questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, well, we're going to go ahead, and as you want to send in more questions, 713-526-1111, text them in. We have someone working behind the scenes to deliver those questions to me here on set so that we can get all of them answered for you this evening. The first one we have up here is, how do I get an application for voting?
Well, I can tackle that one. So in order to get an application to vote by mail, you can go to harrisvotes.com or you can call 713-755-6965 to speak to one of our representatives that can take your information and mail you an application to vote by mail. If you go online to harrisvotes.com, you can download an application to vote by mail, fill it out, and then mail it back to us before the deadline, which is October 25th. So it's very important that the office, the Harris County Clerk's Office, receives the application to vote by mail before or on October 25th.
This is not a postmark. You've got to have it in your hands there.
Exactly.
Okay, some people get nervous. They're like, what if they didn't receive it? How do they verify that you've received it?
So we actually have a tracker on harrisvotes.com. So after they send that in, they can start tracking their application. They can call in, see if it's been received. It's very simple.
Okay. Glad to hear that, because I'd want to know too, hey, did you receive it? You know?
Yeah.
Okay. Next question we have here is, what are the vote center hours on election day? That could be a little tricky, right?
I can go ahead and answer that one.
Okay.
And of course we can add to our answers, but usually the hours that we know are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. But it's very important to note that with this election cycle, the hours are going to be extended. For example, on October 31st, we'll be running up until 9 p.m. I believe the days before that, it will be up until 8 p.m. So it's very important to get the specific dates for you to go to harrisvotes.com to make sure that we get the exact dates with the exact hours.
Okay. And, you know, a lot of people are interested in voting early. A lot of people have to work. They're out of town. How are those sites designated? We know sometimes, you know, during some elections, there are more locations than others. So how are those chosen?
So for election day, for the November 5th election, we will have 700 vote centers. And so in Harris County, a voter can actually go to any site on election day. So in 2019, a little bit of information and history for the viewers is in 2019, we went under what's called the polling place program. It's a program under the Texas Secretary of State's office. So we are under that, and a voter can go during early voting any location, right? We will have over 80, and then on election day, we'll have 700. So any one of those locations.
And can someone go someplace to check in? How long is the line at a certain location so they know where they can go in case they just have a lunch break? And they want to get
So we have all of that information on harrisvotes.com. We have a wait time feature on our vote center tab. They can go there and see. So it will show in colors: green, that means that there's hardly any line; yellow, that there's a little bit of a line, and it'll show actually like about the time that'll be there; and then red, that means that the line's a little bit longer, but it will also show locations that are close by.
And this is for early voting and election day.
That is correct.
Oh, fabulous.
And
Okay.
to add to that, one of the reasons why we also encourage people to go to the polls during early voting is because the lines tend to be a lot shorter. And so for you to be able to avoid those long lines, take advantage of the week of early voting so that lines are a lot shorter for
And
you.
you never know what can happen on the actual day. You don't
Yeah.
feel well, you have a family member needs to
Exactly.
get someplace, and you know you have that peace of mind that you've got your vote in and it's going to count.
Exactly.
Okay. Another question we have here is who is eligible to vote early in person?
I would say if you are eligible to vote, you are eligible to vote early. There's no eligibility requirements that are any different if you are able to vote on election day.
Right, so it's not like you have to say, oh, I'm going to be out of town, here's my proof, or I am on military duty. Anyone can do it. So as you said, if you can, do.
Exactly.
Okay, simple enough. Another question here, do voters need identification to vote in person? And if so, what kind of identification, and is it multiple?
Yes, so there are 7 of the like most common and acceptable forms of ID. That includes a driver's license, a Texas ID. You can also have your passport, your license to carry, your military ID. There are several. We have them on the website harrisvotes.com. So we have those. If a voter happens to go into a center and they don't have that, there are what are classified as B, right? And so if they don't have that, if they have one of those, there's what's called a RID form, and they'll have to fill that out, provide some information, and then they would be able to vote what's called provisionally. And then they would have to, within a set amount of time, go to the tax office, which is also the voter registrar office, and actually provide that form of identification to show that they are registered to vote
Okay,
in order to be able to have that vote completely secure.
so there are different forms of identification, not just a
Exactly.
driver's license. You should
Exactly.
be able to get through with something, but make
Yes.
sure you have that.
Exactly.
And hey, it's always good to have backup, right?
Yes.
It's kind of like going to the airport, always have a backup, right?
Yes.
Okay. Another question here, when will we receive our mail-in ballots if we apply for one?
So mail-in ballots have already started being sent out. So the deadline to apply for a mail ballot is October 25th, received, not postmarked. But as of September 21st, we started sending out the FPCA, so military and overseas ballots. And then on that Wednesday, right after a few days, we started sending out those mail ballots to folks that have already applied. So the sooner you send in your application, the faster we can get you your mail ballot.
What if someone says, I'm so worried the mail can mess up? What if they don't get it? Even though you have a tracker, what if it's last minute, it's too late? Can they just walk in and bring it to the election center?
So they can. So
Okay.
in that form, they would be surrendering their ballot, right? An unvoted ballot. They would surrender it to the clerk once they're being queued up, and they're going to be qualified to vote. And they'd say, I would not like to vote by mail. I would like to vote in person. Here is the mail ballot that I received. Or if they did not receive it, they'd say, I did not receive my mail ballot. We would verify, go through the different channels that we have. So our election clerks there would walk through with that voter what that process is like, and to verify that, and then they would be able to vote a ballot on the machine. So there are
Okay,
different processes.
And something I also like to tell community members, voters, is that if you have the confidence to send checks through the mail, right, other important information, other important documents, you should also have that same peace of mind that your ballot will get there safely. And that's why we always say the earlier the better, right?
Yes.
You can always also track that to make sure that it's getting to where it needs to be to make sure that that vote gets counted.
So Dana, it sounds like you are communicating with a lot of people out in the community in various locations and working very hard to make sure everyone knows how to vote and where to go, correct?
Exactly.
We're getting a lot of questions from people saying, hey, I just moved to Texas, or I just moved from Harris to Galveston. What do I do? How do I register? Is it anything different?
The easiest way to do it is to make sure that if you don't see a nonprofit, an organization, volunteers that are out on the field registering people, go to your local library. A lot of the times your local library will also have voter registration forms on them. The only thing to note about that is that you go ahead and fill out the information just like you would if you were to download it online and send it out yourself. Now, a lot of the times when you see people out there that are registering in person, a lot of the times they'll go ahead and send that voter registration in for you, and we'll give you a receipt. But that's one of the things that we've seen during this time that we're doing this work is voter registration is something that we're doing right now.
Dana, what are some of the questions that you're getting out in the community as you speak with voters that maybe you could relay that could help people watching tonight?
A lot of the questions that we've been getting are, am I eligible to vote? What do I need to do to be able to vote on election day? Register before October 7th. Keep that date in mind.
And what's today's date?
Today is
October 3rd.
There you go.
3rd.
You've got 4 days.
So if you moved,
it's here.
Yes. If you moved from Harris to Galveston, vice versa. If you moved to Texas not too long ago, register before October 7th.
Okay. And where will you be spending the next month? Have you all been looking at different communities you want to go to and kind of checking the box to communicate with everyone? Is there a certain area you're paying more attention to or spending more time in where you feel there's a need?
The beauty of the work of mobilization work is that a lot of the times with the data information that we get, we try to analyze where is it that Latinos usually don't get spoken to, right? So making sure that we can get into those communities, knock on their door and give them the information that they need. Not too long ago, I'll give a brief story. We met a constituent who said that it was the first time that someone knocked on her door to give her information. So that gives us the fact that a lot of the times we are not being spoken to, we're not being targeted, and so a lot of the work that we're going to be doing right now, mobilizing, is going to be towards those voters that need to be reached out to all over Harris County and in other parts of Texas too.
Yeah, absolutely. That work is very important, and a lot of folks these days, though, you know, they're like, I won't open my door. So where can they go to find resources, both in English, Spanish, any other language, where any voter in this area can go ahead and look up information that's super simple if they don't want to open the door?
Right. Well, I think the website that we keep promoting and talking about is
keep it on. Yeah.
harrisvotes.com.
Yeah.
That is where you can find a lot of the information that we speak to you all about. I also say, right, a lot of your community events right now during this time, if you see a community event being promoted, you will more than likely not see an organization out there also giving resources on the elections coming up. So if you are just out and about and you see this type of work being done, make sure you approach us because we are going to give you a resource.
Will you be wearing a shirt or have?
Yes,
okay.
yes, a blue
okay,
shirt,
great.
Mi Familia en Acción with
Wonderful.
a cap. Yes.
Okay, we'll make sure to look for that. An interesting question. A lot of people are asking now about voting early and then also the mail-in ballots. What if someone receives a mail-in ballot but they didn't request one? What should they do?
So if that occurs, they can call our office, right? If there's something
Give us that number again.
So 713-755-6965 is the direct number for the Harris County Clerk's Office Elections Department. If something is going on and you say, like, this doesn't look right with anything to do with the election, give us a call and we will be able to assist.
Okay, if you've requested a mail-in ballot, but say you think, I'm not going to get it in on time, or you send it in, but then you're worried, did they really receive it? Can you show up to vote in person?
So with that, if one, right, it is very important that they go on harrisvotes.com, track their ballot, right? They can always give us a call at that phone number, the 713-755.
Will they be able to get through?
They will be
Okay.
able to get
Okay.
through. Yes, we have added many more call center employees,
Okay,
right?
great.
So we will
'Cause
have
no one
plenty
wants
of
to sit
staff.
on hold.
No, no one wants
Right.
to sit on hold. And we offer, so for Harris County, English, Spanish, Vietnamese, and Chinese.
Oh.
So we have assistance in those 4 languages that we will be able to assist. So if something happens, if it is last minute, you can go to that vote center. They will go through the process of qualifying you. If it shows up that your mail ballot has been received, they will let you know at the vote center as well, and they will not allow you to vote in person because they have received your ballot.
Do these mail-in ballots need postage?
So it does require postage, but if you do not have one, you can still send it in, and our office will incur the cost.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's important to note.
Yes.
Because a lot of people are worried, oh, hey, it's going to get returned. Do you all receive a lot of ballots that way? Or a lot of
Yes,
applications?
we do
Yeah.
receive a lot of applications. We receive ballots that way. They can fax it in, and then, but it still has to be mailed in for the application to be able to vote by mail. So that's something to note as well.
And we mentioned briefly military people overseas. Do they have different deadlines?
So military overseas, all of the information, harrisvotes.com. We did have a couple of astronauts. They'll be voting from space. And so
Oh,
that
I love
process,
that.
yes, so the FPCA process is a little different. And so that goes on with a very secretive process. They have a liaison. We go through that. It goes through a few rounds of like checking. And with NASA, we had the liaison and being able to do that. So they voted. We have two astronauts confirmed that voted from space.
And also to add, you don't to be able to vote by mail, you don't necessarily just, the only reason is if you're not going to be in your area of residence the day of the elections, but also if you are 65 and older, if you have some sort of disability that will not be able to allow you to be at the polls in person, that is also another way or another reason to be able to request that
If
vote
you're
by
also
mail.
pregnant and if you are expecting, right? So if you're expecting and you may those weeks before early voting and then for election day. So we do have several different requirements, right? And
Okay.
people that do qualify. So there's several qualifiers.
Okay, that's excellent to note. We are taking your questions live. We got another one in here that we want to present with you, to you both can decide which one we'll answer. My nephew moved here from California and now works for Houston ISD, lives in Harris County for 1 year. He doesn't have a Texas driver's license. Is he eligible to register to vote in Harris County?
So he does need to go, and because he's been living here in Texas for a while, right?
Yeah.
So the clerk's office, we are not over voter registration. That is the Harris County Tax Assessor Collector's Office. So that website is hctax.net, and you can contact them. They also have their voter registration line on their website, hctax.net, where you can get that information. I know that the state has information as well, but it is very important to get that driver's license, get registered to vote.
Look, I'm guilty. I waited a while to get my Texas driver's license, right? We all know we have that expiration date. So, it's really convenient now when you can go online, make an appointment, and then you have some express locations. Sometimes, even like you said, vote early. Even with getting a driver's license, sometimes you have to go to a location that's not really convenient. But when you have an election coming up that's this important, you want to make sure that you register. And the deadlines are coming up. You want to make sure you get that done, get that taken care of.
October 7th.
October 7th. Okay,
yes.
there are so many deadlines that people need to be aware of because people have different circumstances in their lives, right? So we know that you've been giving us the website, the Harris County site, where people can go look. Conveniently, we do have those right now on KHOU.com for you as well, where you can go online and look depending on when you want to vote, how you want to vote. what your situation is, where you're going to be, and all of the answers to questions like this. You can find those on KHOU.com, and of course on our streaming platform we have here at KHOU 11 Plus. We'll be running this on our online platforms so people can go get the answers to these questions, because we know it's so important. You mentioned people have different situations where, you know, they might want to mail in their ballot or vote early, say, you know, they're physically disabled or they're pregnant and they're far along, they want someone to come with it. What if someone, you know, oh, I just moved to Texas, I'm not used to the machines. Can I have a long time, longer Texas native come in with me and show me how to vote? Can someone do that? Or can they bring someone inside?
I can talk on the fact that there are also a lot of resources that show you how to use the voting machine.
Oh, great.
Here in Harris County, we do partner up a lot of the times so that we bring in people that are curious to see, a lot of first-time voters, a lot of people, like you said, that haven't voted in a long time, and we go ahead and show them the voting machine and how to work it ahead of time.
Yeah.
So again, right, because I work with the community, we try to make sure that these resources and these events are accessible to a lot of people. So if you do go ahead and see an event where we're showing how to use these machines, attend. That's the easiest way. You can answer the next question.
Yeah, for sure. So if someone goes and they would like to bring someone to assist them to vote, they're in their right. So a voter can bring someone to assist them with using the voting machine. I assist my mother with voting every year. So I've done it since I was 8 years old, and I sign the affidavit that they require me to sign, and I assist my mother to vote. So the ballot is in Spanish, English, Vietnamese, and Chinese, right? We do also have high contrast. We have a unit that has audio, so they can, you know, if voters need to sit down, listen to the ballot. We have the high contrast to be able, for those voters with visually impaired. We also have a tactile remote, if they're having like issues and they can't touch the touch screen, they can use that. But a voter can most definitely bring someone with them to assist them to vote, not vote for them, right? But assist them to vote. Or they can simply ask the clerks when they're being qualified that they need assistance, and they're most definitely going to assist them.
Yeah, and that's great to know as well, because look, I'll be honest, I mean, the machines in Louisiana are very different from the machines you all have here in Texas. So I needed a lesson, and I actually went online and watched, because no one wants to hold up the voting location either, right? So that's another reason to vote early too, right? So you're not in line and frustrated and waiting and trying to get to another location.
Yes.
So are there any questions or concerns that you all would like to address or bring up that maybe people haven't asked yet? We do have some other questions coming in, but just wanted to ask that here while I take a break and read through these.
I think very important, folks are always concerned, is the election safe? And most definitely. The clerk herself has said, we are here to be able to provide the information, materials, infrastructure needed to conduct safe and successful elections, and that is what the clerk's office will be doing and what we have been doing. If anyone needs assistance, if you need information, you can go to harrisvotes.com, call 713-755-6965, and if you need voter registration information, you can go to the Harris County Tax Assessor Collector's Office, hctax.net.
There's someone here asking, you know, I'm a senior citizen, I would like to know where I could go and vote my husband earlier, before Monday. Okay. So we don't know where they live. So can someone go online, just put in their address, their zip code, and it'll tell them all the locations nearest them?
Yes, all of the locations are online. We have them early voting as well as election day. So if they go to harrisvotes.com, on the Vote Center tab, they can look at all of those locations and put in their address, if it's their address for their home, near their church, near their school, near their hair salon. It doesn't matter. They can look up a location near that area.
And is the same information online on the mobile app as well, the tracker?
That is, yes. That is correct.
They both mirror one another.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's not difficult. If you could just take it in your hand, go with you.
Correct.
And if you see some line forming, like we use our GPS, you know, there's a wreck here, take this route, you could reroute and
Yes.
go somewhere else.
Yeah. Yes.
That's super convenient.
Something
Okay.
else to add very, very quickly
Sure.
is that this is an important election, right? We want to make sure that we're giving adequate information, that we also trust that these are very safe elections and that it is our right to be able to do so. We're not only voting for the president, right? We're also voting for
Correct.
local
Yes.
races. And so
And there are some big ones. There's some significant races
exactly.
happening.
So being aware that you're not just voting for the president, that we're voting for other elections, local elections, state elections that are just as impactful as the president election.
Speaking of which, where can people go to find information on the candidates or get their sample ballot for where they live?
So a sample ballot is available online. Harrisvotes.com is where I tell everyone to go
Keep
ahead.
saying it. It's
Yes,
okay. It's okay.
We go ahead. It's very easy. We know that sample ballots look differently for everyone depending on where you live. So making sure that you put your address and the sample ballot that pertains to you and your location will come up. And so a lot of the times you have time to study the candidates that are on there so that by the time that you go and cast your vote, you are making a very educated vote. And something very cool about that is that you can actually print your sample ballot,
And
write
take it.
notes on it, and take it with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
A
No
lot of
shame.
people,
Yes.
a lot of people don't know that. They feel like they have to memorize everything, and you are in the right to take your notes with you to be able to make that vote.
But with that, no candidate paraphernalia. So
Yes,
we can't
talk
go in
about
the,
that.
So
That's
no,
huge.
that's a big one, right? Because
Yeah.
folks go in there and
Wardrobe
it's like
on election
wardrobe
day.
on election day, right? No candidate names. You will be asked to take off the hat. No electronic devices. So there are signs on all of the machines, but no use of electronic devices inside of the vote center. Within 100 feet of the vote center, you will see that, as well as if there are what's called electioneering. There's that 100-foot marker. You will see it at all of the vote centers during early voting as well as on election day. So no use of electronic devices, no electioneering. That means that someone that's campaigning can't be inside of that 100-foot marker. If you see that, please do report it and someone will take care of that.
Okay, that's really
Yeah.
good to know too. And another thing that some folks have asked us just out on the streets, because we were used to it during pandemic, is drive-in voting, drive-up voting.
Yes, so what that is, so there is no drive-up voting in that sense of the 2020. What we do have is called curbside voting. So for voters with a disability, there is curbside voting. Curbside voting is available at all of our vote centers.
How do you use it?
So you simply drive up to the vote center. There will be a buzzer there. It's blue and there's a button, and you will press that button. That will send a call inside of the vote center to our clerks, and someone will come out to qualify the voter as well as bring out one of the machines so that they can take care of that process. That is for voters with disabilities that are unable to get out of their vehicle, but they would still like to vote and they would not like to vote by mail. So that is an option.
And is there a time limit on voting? Do you have a certain amount of time where you have to get in and get out?
No, you can take all the time that you need. Like we mentioned, so October 21st through November 1st is early voting. And then we have Election Day, November 5th. So hours for the first week of early voting are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. that Monday through Saturday. Sunday, noon to 7. And that second week of early voting, we will have extended hours. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. That following day, that Halloween, we will be 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. And then election day, well, then we return to regular 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And on election day, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Important, if a voter is in line by 7 p.m., they have the right to cast their ballot.
Okay, that is
So
good
do
to
not
know.
leave.
Okay.
Stay there.
All right, a question for us in Spanish. Are we ready?
Wonderful.
Okay. Si acabo de cambiarme mi dirección, ¿dónde puedo votar?
Si se acaban de, pues si quieres tomar esa pregunta.
Sí, sí, si acaba de cambiar su dirección, ¿dónde puede votar? Bueno, primero lo que sugerimos es que esté registrada para votar si se cambió de residencia, si se cambió de condado, si llegó al estado, regístrese para votar en Texas antes del 7 de octubre. Y como hemos mencionado en las preguntas anteriores, revise cuál es su locación más cercana, dependiendo de dónde esté su residencia. Entonces, muchas de las veces también el día de elecciones estamos tomando llamadas para poder ayudar a las personas en tiempo vivo para decirles cuál es la locación más cercana a ellos. Obviamente no le puedo responder exactamente cuál es la locación más cercana a usted ahorita, pero el día de las elecciones tenemos muchos recursos que le pueden decir exactamente dónde ir a votar.
Sí, y es importante, si están registrados para votar y están en el condado Harris, acuden a harrisvotes.com y allí van a salir todas esos sitios de votación donde puede acudir a cualquiera de esos sitios durante la temporada de votación anticipada, que es del 21 de octubre al 1 de noviembre, o el día de las elecciones. Habrán 700 sitios abiertos y puede acudir a cualquiera de ellos de 7 de la mañana a 7 de la noche.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you did mention the website again.
Yes.
Again, would you like to repeat any of that in English or the telephone number?
So the telephone number, si necesitan asistencia, tenemos nuestra línea informativa 713-755-6965. También ofrecemos, si tiene algún amigo vietnamita o chino que necesita ayuda, también ofrecemos la información en inglés, vietnamita, chino y español.
Wonderful. Okay. Now, before we go, we're waiting on more questions. So while we have this time, let's go over those important deadlines one more time. One of you in English, one of you in Spanish.
El último día para registrarse para votar en las elecciones aquí del estado de Texas es el 7 de octubre. O sea que tenemos aproximadamente 4 días para registrarse para votar, el 7 de octubre.
Muy bien. So the voter registration deadline is October 7th. We have 4 days left to be able to register to vote for the November 5th general and special elections.
Okay, wonderful. One more time, phone number to call for information.
713-755-6965. 713-755-6965.
All right, and the website, one more time, ladies.
harrisvotes.com.
harrisvotes.com.
All right, we have Dana Isa and Irene Nunez. We thank you so much for joining us here on KHOU 11 Plus. We thank you, our viewers, for joining us for this very important segment to get your questions answered. We encourage you to continue to send them in as the election day approaches. There's no doubt we'll be doing more of these. We thank you so much for joining us. The information that you have shared tonight is extremely valuable to all of our viewers, and we hope that we'll see you again.
Yes,
Thanks so much,
you.
ladies.
Thank you so much for having
All
us.
right. You all have a great night. Thanks for joining us here on KHOU 11 Plus.